Today we have the first opportunity to ride and check out everything about the brand new CVO Road Glide ST from Harley-Davidson for 2024. Celebrating 25 years of CVO, Harley-Davidson has done something a little bit different with this new ST variant of the Road Glide. Rather than going for the more dressed up premium end of the spectrum, they have turned the CVO Road Glide, at least this particular one, the ST, into more of a performance-oriented machine. And they've done some crazy things in that process. For one, looking around at the styling, you'll notice this forged carbon fiber, and this is real forged carbon fiber that is all over the bike. See it here on the front fender. You see it here on the top of the tank. You can also see a little badge telling you from 1999 to 2024, 25 years of CVO. Moving back to the back of this much more race style, King of the Bagger style seat that says CVO ST on it, there is more forged carbon fiber. This bike actually has a cowl over the rear of the seat. And then even behind these titanium mufflers at the back end, you've got a bit more forged carbon fiber on the tips. A little bit harder to see, but really cool. In order to get a feel for these new CVOs, Harley-Davidson has brought us out here to Las Vegas. Right now we're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Here on the ST, we're going to do a little bit of track riding, pretty low speeds, nothing too crazy. And then tomorrow we actually get to go out on the standard Road Glide and Street Glide, so there's gonna be a video on those as well.
The thing that amazes me about these bikes is, for their size, they are so easy to ride. That is one of the most striking things about it. Is you would think a motorcycle that's this big would be a bit of a challenge, but it's not bad at all. Even the low speed maneuvering, bringing it to a stop, getting your foot down. These bikes are just well balanced. They're smooth. The controls are nice and light. This is a relaxing motorcycle to ride, even here on the track, and even this being the more performance-oriented version of the bike, it doesn't feel like a hardcore, uncomfortable machine at all. It's plenty relaxing to ride at a slower pace like this. I remember the first time I rode an Indian Challenger, I really enjoyed the way that it was happy to tip into a corner. And that was one of the first baggers I had ever ridden. And I really didn't expect it to do that. And this is reminding me a lot of that feeling. This motorcycle is more than happy to pitch into a corner. And if you're not so much of a bagger person, you might not be expecting that. Certainly before I had spent some time on bikes like these, I really wouldn't have figured that they'd be happy to dive into a corner, but it is. This is a fun motorcycle for a twisty road.
And even though these bags are lifted, they actually don't lose out on any volume. There's 2.4 cubic feet of storage here on this motorcycle. So these bags have just as much storage as they used to. They've just made them a little bit wider and higher. And of course, you can't look at this motorcycle without seeing these epic remote reservoirs for the rear shocks that have some adjustment here on the rear. There's 3 inches of travel on these. They're fully adjustable. Some of your adjustment is right there. And then moving up front, you've got these inverted, fully adjustable 47 millimeter Showa forks and Brembo brakes. So some pretty serious components. And of course, that also extends here to the motor. Powering the CVO Road Glide ST is this high output 121. This is not the VVT 121 that we've seen before. They ditched the VVT system to give you a little bit more peak power, sacrificing a little bit of torque at the lower end, but your peak torque and horsepower are both higher on this motor. It's 127 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque, and by eliminating that VVT system, they've also shaved some weight out of this motor. In fact, they've shaved weight out of this entire bike. This is about 25 pounds lighter than a standard Road Glide, and the new version of the Road Glide is almost 20 pounds lighter than it was before. For styling, you have this cool retro Harley-Davidson script there on the side of the tank and an eagle along the side of the fairing, which is pretty similar to the King of the Baggers race bikes. Those have that same type of graphic. Also new on all of the Road Glides and also the Street Glides are the fairings and the lighting. All of this styling is updated, so this is still very recognizable as a Road Glide, but you can tell that they've given it new LED lighting both in the front and in the back.
You also have really nice isolation from the vibration of this powertrain. Traditionally, you think of Harley-Davidsons as rattling themselves to pieces as they sit there on the kickstand, but this bike not only feels really solid, but it's not rattling itself apart. It's not making your hands numb or anything. It feels smooth even at lower speeds. These V-twins always smooth out once you get moving, but even when it's just idling, it feels nice and comfortable. My hands aren't going to get numb or anything. This is just a relaxing bike to ride. Now look, I've got a lot of good things to say about this motorcycle, and you would hope as much because they are unbelievably expensive. So if it wasn't good to ride, that would be a big problem. Luckily it's not. This is a great motorcycle to ride. It's a motorcycle that if I spent 40 plus grand on, it's a motorcycle I'd be looking forward to riding as much as possible, racking up the miles and just getting out on the road because it's so nice. And there's a lot of really nice baggers out there, a lot of baggers that ride really well, and plenty of them don't cost this much. But if you have an opportunity to ride one of these CVO STs, you owe it to yourself to do so, because it's an experience. Even riding slower like we are right now, these factory pipes also sound pretty good. It's a nice balance of not droning, it's not loud all the time, but when you open up the taps, you hear it a good bit. And from what they say, seems like this pipe, as far as performance is concerned, is a good one to stick with. I know, obviously, a lot of us like putting different pipes on our bikes. I'm certainly in that boat, but this is one that I would potentially leave alone because there's really no major downside to it. Sounds pretty good to me. See what you think. I wouldn't hate that. I'm not sure that would get old.
These new bikes run a 12.3-inch screen that has a couple different configurations for your gauges, and the screen is super sharp. It is a touch screen. It gives you a ton of information. You've got a bunch of ride modes on this bike as well, and the tech doesn't stop there because these motorcycles also give you rider aids like cornering ABS, cornering traction control. So they've done quite a bit to make these bikes more advanced. Flanking each side of the screen, you have these 500-watt speakers built into the fairing from Rockford Fosgate. So this bike not only has a great screen to look at, but it can make a ton of noise if you want it to. Here we can see inside of the bags, we've just got a couple microfiber cloths, but a generous amount of space in here, 2.4 cubic feet. Really not bad for these lifted bags. You also get storage compartments here on each side of the fairing. I also want to take a quick moment to thank our friends over at Rider Justice. They have supported us basically almost since day one, and it's because of them that trips like these are possible for us to do here on the Bike Channel. Obviously, I have a lot of good things to say about this motorcycle, and I kind of can't help it because this is a really fun bike to ride. It's a great bike to look at. It's got great technology. There's a lot of things that this motorcycle does really well. This is kind of Harley's bread and butter, this category of motorcycles, and so it's something that they do really well. If you're into baggers and you've spent some time riding these bikes, you have to admit that they're good at what they do. They're comfortable, they're fun to ride. Again, good technology, lots of good to say about it. But there's always a catch, right? And on this one, it is the price. $43,000 is a ton of money to spend on a motorcycle in any category. There's no other way to look at it. These are expensive motorcycles. It is cost prohibitive for 99% of people, myself included. So that's really the big drawback. If you love baggers and you have the money to buy one of these, you absolutely owe it to yourself to go out and ride one, because it might be exactly the kind of bagger that you want. It's certainly a bagger I would love to have, but for most of us out there, it's just going to be too inaccessible. Maybe in 30 years, I'll be able to get something like this. We'll see. For now, that's all for this video. Keep your eyes peeled for more motorcycle videos coming soon. It's always nice to get out of Colorado in the winter and actually be able to do some riding. And yeah, that's all. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.